Hi, I'm Mahibi and I'm the C Coach, and welcome to a recording of my presentation to my GMPD on how we can improve the assignee experience. What does a successful assignee experience look and feel like? So let's get ahead and get started. So let's take a look at what our journey together looks like. So we're going to be challenging the norm of what a successful assignment means, reframing what success might look like, exploring the psychology that fits behind this, so looking at resilient mindset and all of the psychology to support a successful assignment, understanding and seeing what the assignee might be feeling to tap into their experience. And we'll also be looking at what are the key success measures, what are the factors that we can be measuring throughout the assignee experience, and then finishing with some practical tips and steps which you can take away coming out of the presentation today. So let's start by reframing the concept of what an assignment is. And I want us to really challenge the norm here of how we usually see this, because this is going to be the heart, the root of our preparation to improving the assignee experience. So what if we could shift from a process, from having a checklist of things that we need to deliver across an A to B process, and instead of having this process to relocate someone, we reframe it so that we put the person at the heart of the process. And if we do that, we then start to realize that what we have here is an experience journey. So we are not just thinking about the assignee. If we turn it from a process to an experience journey, we are also factoring in and considering people that are close to them, so their partner, their wider family. And by doing this, by reframing it to focus on a human-centered experience journey, we then start to realize that there is a psychological experience that is happening for the assignee and their partner and their wider family. And this is a journey that's based on growth for the employee and their partner and their family. And what we need to do in order to improve the assignment experience is understand the psychology behind what the family and the assignee are going through. Right, so let's start by looking at what I see as the stages of the assignee experience. So instead of thinking about it in this process that's end to end as part of an assignment or a relocation or even a permanent relocation, we can instead put a lens on the reality of what's happening for the employee. And when we think about the employee experience, we can then start to map these steps. And you'll see that I have started right from the opportunity. So when the opportunity arises, and even before a decision has been made, whether to relocate this particular person and their partner, their family, we are in exploration mode because we understand that there needs to be a psychological state in order to support decision making. So we have the opportunity as part of the employee experience, we have the decision making part. And I offered a challenge here to say, if everyone is going from being offered an opportunity to making a decision to go on assignment, how much of a fit, how much of a psychological fit is it for these employees to be embarking on doing these assignments? Is it really the right thing for them and their family? And how much time are we really taking to funnel through people into an assignment experience? So part of our role and responsibility and preparation within global mobility is to really understand what is needed at each of these steps. What is it that the employee needs? What is it that the partner and their children might need? And we need to take this on a case-by-case situation. What is specific to their needs? And if we are doing that, then we are really starting to understand the psychology of the person, because it is them that we need to show and reward value to. And we're going to do that by looking after and maintaining their resilient mindset. We're tapping into the psychology of what this person is feeling at every stage of the assignment experience journey here that I have mapped out. And what I think that we spend too long on is this. So we are so used to just going straight from the opportunity, so preparation mode, straight into integration, assignment life is happening, and then we've got to repatriate back and manage that process. And it feels very linear. Whereas what I am saying is that actually there are other stages to the assignee experience. And, after repatriation, how are we going to ensure that this person doesn't leave us? Because there are statistics that are showing that up to 50% of our employees, our people, are leaving in year 2 after repatriation. So we really need to understand, how do we support a person through this experience to ensure that we are fully investing from a business sense. It makes business sense that we are protecting a return on our investment. Ultimately, we want people to stay with us, and we don't want them to be questioning on repatriation whether they stick around. So in order for us to reframe how we think about setting up an assignment, we need to actually redefine what success means, both for the organization and for the employee. So I have put together some considerations or some outcomes of what I can see success might look and feel like. If we looked at the current checklist, we'd probably have schooling as an outcome, housing, boxing everything up, shipping containers for a particular size. We've got this checklist against the process. So we have to accept that it's how we are doing these things, how we are putting together the assignee experience, which is going to determine success. So by the end of the assignee experience, we want them to feel that they are benefiting from being an employee of the company. So we want them to stay. We want them to feel loyalty to the organization. We want the assignee to be an advocate of the experience, to go out and champion and to support this for colleagues and members within their teams or other cross-functional teams, to really support their experience as well. And we have here values alignment. There are multiple touch points where the values of the employee and the values of the organization, they align and they should be meeting. And where we have a misalignment of values, we are not on the same page. We are not singing from the same hymn sheet, and we are likely to have a poor experience. So we need there to be a great fit around values, expectations. Meaningful connections. We want the assignee to build long-term, long-lasting relationships. And we want that to be felt in the business and also outside of the business with people that matter to them. The employee feels recognized right from the start. There's recognition, appreciation for what they are doing, the value that they are bringing in destination. So we want them to feel appreciation and recognition right from the start. The employee feels a high satisfaction. We want them to have a higher sense of well-being. We want them to feel high levels of contentment. And by doing so, we are reiterating we're feeding in all the other parts of success as well. And ultimately, we want them to be feeling growth. We want them to be seeing the growth within their career path, their career development, their personal development as well. Perhaps they have adventures and personal ambitions as well that form part of the assignee experience. And we want them to feel that there are continued opportunities so that when they do repatriate, it's not that they're forgotten. It's not that their value suddenly diminishes and then they just go back to the norm before they started their role. We want them to feel that there are doors that are continuously opening for them. This person is ambitious. This person wants to be challenged. And we need to invite the employee to progress their career development. And if we think about these success factors and how integral it is to their partner to have a successful experience as well, we could actively apply all of these things to a partner. So, a key takeaway that I would love you to come out with after watching this is a wider understanding that yes, we can create a great checklist. And actually, there is a need for that across the experience journey for us to have a plan, to be structured and organized. But ultimately, you can do all of those things. But if you're not considering the mindset of an assignee, of a person, and the people around them, their partner, their family, we're essentially gambling. We're taking a risk that everything is going to be okay. And looking at statistics and feedback, it's not necessarily the case that it is all going to be okay. So we need to understand how to navigate all of the emotions and psychological challenges that will occur during this high intensity process or experience of change. So we want to create positive feeders into the experience or inputs into a particular mindset and not be creating adverse ones. We don't want to create more risks as to why this won't feel like a successful experience. So success is based on a mindset, if you haven't picked that up already. And a strong mindset is one where we can make decisions. Even on a day-to-day, we have to deal with a lot of change, we have to deal with a lot of uncertainty, and especially with an assignee experience, it's going to be higher levels of uncertainty and uncomfortable scenarios than usual. So we know that this person is going to be going through a lot in terms of having to step into a zone that's out of their comfort. And this is going to be spanning across every aspect of their life. And we want them to feel confident enough to communicate effectively without any doubts whatsoever. We want them to feel that it is completely okay to share whether they don't feel strong in their mindset. And we want them to share with us any doubts, worries, fears, concerns that they might be having. So we don't want doubt to be creeping in. And in order to do so, we have to facilitate a space for that. We want them to have a positive outlook. And what I mean by that is there is a sense of being grateful for what's in front of them, the opportunity that they have been provided, recognizing this fantastic new experience and shying away from feeling homesick. We know that homesickness has a huge impact on employees and their family. And so it's very easy to connect back to home, back to friends, family, if we are not present, if we don't feel positive and hopeful about the adventure, about the experience that's in front of us, we then start to make an emotional connection to home, the place that we have left behind. So our quest in setting up a successful assignment is to connect the present to a strong positive emotion as quickly as possible, to disconnect them from the need and the desire to be at home where it's comfortable for them, it's safe, it's familiar. So seeking new experiences, wanting to build new connected support networks, and feeling that excitement is very, very important. Balanced and so emotionally stable. It is absolutely key that whilst we want to support a connection to positive associations in the present, in the opportunity here, we also want them to feel balanced, we want them to feel calm, a sense of peace and relaxed. And what we're trying to do by seeking out balance and emotional stability is allow the employee not to feel overwhelmed by strong emotions. There's going to be loads of emotions that are coming up, lots of feelings, adverse feelings. And if they are unable to process them, then those emotions will build up over time and there will be an adverse reaction to that. Maybe it's shutting down, it's avoidance, it's not being productive at work, it's being emotionally unavailable to their partner or their family. So these three things really, for me, summarize what success is. If we look at a mindset, it equals resilience. That's essentially what we're looking at. So let's have a look at what the key feelings might be for an assignee on an assignment. So this is not to say that these are all the feelings that are felt by every assignee, but they are the most common. And the reason why I'm sharing this is for us to understand that we are facing a reality when we want to improve the assignee experience. To create a resilient mindset, we need to face into these challenging feelings. We need to accept that it happens. We need to know and recognize that it's there. And the successful assignment experience is not based on trying to create the opposite of these. It's not trying to avoid these feelings coming up, because we know that no matter how much we plan, they will come up. But it's how we plan around the experience to ensure that the person is supported through these feelings, that they are recognized, it's okay, and we provide a consistent pillar of support for the person to come through these feelings, to be able to navigate out of them on a day-to-day when this is coming up for them. So the best position possible is for us to build a resilient mindset to navigate these feelings, not to try and focus on a checklist to create the feelings that we think would benefit the assignee. So let's look at the reality of what's happening, and also we can extend this to the partner. He or she will be going through exactly the same feelings, and if we were really planning for a successful assignee experience, we would also be looking at how we can support the partner to navigate these feelings as well. So, excitement. Many people feel very excited about this new adventure, going to potentially a new part of the world, new cultures. It can provide us personal experiences. It's a chance to develop new skills, expand our professional horizons. So a lot of people are going on an assignment if this is, you know, a once in a lifetime, because it is different and it provides a new challenge for them. Stress and anxiety, very common, and it's going to be there. We can't avoid this. Long-term assignments often do provide significant challenges, such as adapting to the new work environment, new life and country environment, new cultures, new work styles. So employees might feel challenged by the need to learn, adjust to new processes, new deadlines, new ways of working, and may feel an extra obligation to be performing, to be visible, to be seen in the new organization. There's cultural differences that provide a lot of stress and anxiety, and It could be a significant source of stress, or it could be a significant source of fascination as well for people. But this is really about understanding how we can support the person to immerse themselves within the cultural differences as opposed to seeing the gaps. So we want to support them to be able to adapt. Isolation. Depending on the location, the nature of assignment, the person may feel very isolated. They're outside of their normal communities, outside of their cultures, and they might not actually have enough time to integrate, to create support networks, depending on the length of the assignment. So isolation can be a very adverse impact on our mindset and our mind framing, and it can bring up significant mental health impacts. Home life balance. So long-term assignments can strain on an employee's work-life balance, especially if we have a scenario where the family's been separated. It might be the case, and I've seen this before, where a partner decides to stay at home with their children. It's better for their education, they're close to their family, support networks, and actually we see a separation. Or it could be the case that if everybody moves together, then actually reintroducing habits around home life balance, along with all the other pressures, can be a significant challenge for people. Instability. There's so much change. It's constant. It's probably the only constant thing is instability. It's unsettling. It makes us feel very far removed from that feeling of being rooted to being grounded. And instability then means that we are unable to find some peace and some calm in the present, which means that actually we are unable to rest, we are unable to allow our brain time to recoup, to find new energy. And it can, the result of instability can actually be a lack of productivity in the workplace. So we want to support the person to feel as stable as possible. Homesickness. So employees on long-term assignments, or even short to mid-term, far from family, far from friends, experience homesickness. They're missing friends and family. So how can we support them to feel closer to their family and to support them through periods of homesickness, which we know is a reality? Financial worries, which is already up here. Depending on the assignment's location, compensation, package, reward, benefits, there might be a deficit. So have we looked into that? Can we make up the gap if the employee feels that they're incurring extra expenses that they haven't necessarily shared with the organization? So taking away as much as possible that financial worry, strain, or that insecurity. Job satisfaction. So this can vary between different assignments. Some employees might find that they are very fulfilled with their experience. They're finding the whole thing very rewarding, while others could feel very dissatisfied. They might feel that their skills are underutilized, or they're not developing their skills enough, and they might be missing their regular job and their regular routine. Career uncertainty. So long-term assignments especially can raise concerns around an employee's future role within the company, but also the trajectory, the path. Are they on a leadership path? Are they already a leader? How do we elevate the career of the employee? And they might be wondering, do I even have a job to return to on repatriation? And if I do return to a job, is it going to advance my career? And that leads us on to career growth. So it's very normal and natural for someone to worry about their future, worry about whether the assignment is actually a benefit to them or a detriment to them. Should I have stayed at home on the normal promotion path as they see it? Or is this move going to support my expectations or the organization's expectations of my career as I move through the assignment? And are we aligned on what those expectations are? Personal growth. Lots of people go on assignment because they want to have new experiences. They want to grow personally. They want to relish stepping outside of their comfort zone and experiencing new things. So we're really looking at what is the resilience and the adaptability of people and how this varies in destination. Imposter syndrome, I had to put this in. The self-confidence killer. It is going to be something that will creep in at some point. We have seasoned professionals here that we are investing in that are going on assignment to fill in a talent gap or to grow talent in destination. And because we have a situation of high levels of uncertainty outside of comfort zone, high levels of change, there is naturally going to be a lot of self-doubt and questioning. If we do not put measures in place to give assurance verbally to people of what a great job they're doing, giving them advice and guidance based on what is reality for them in their job, how they're performing, how to improve things, and really showing the value of what they're delivering in destination, we will see imposter syndrome creeping in. And what this will do is it will kill confidence, it will kill courage to ask questions, to really be seeking out help, and this can lead to adverse impacts in the workplace, lack of productivity, lack of focus, potentially avoiding situations that might feel tough for them. They might shut down. So there could be emotional shutdown as well if we're thinking about the impacts on their family as well. So there's lots of things or lots of considerations around the impact of imposter syndrome feelings. And we've got here personal uncertainty, so that also ties into these feelings of imposter syndrome. But when I talk about personal uncertainty, I'm talking about the person, doubts, questioning, not feeling good about decision making, not feeling good about their ability to make rational decisions, how they feel about their emotional self. So this is really about relationship to self. And then finally, apathy. So depending on the length of the assignment, the last thing we want is for an employee just to be like, so what? None of this matters. The employees may feel a sense of time passing by, potentially affecting how they feel about themselves, the assignment, their family, their relationships inside and outside of work, their personal plans. And with our created inputs, we want to remind the employee that they are doing great things and that they are valued and they are recognized and appreciated. And we want to avoid this situation where they're at any point in the process going, what have I done? What was the point of this? So it's important for both employees and employers, the organization, the business, to acknowledge these feelings and to provide the support, as I said earlier, to allow the person to power through them, to accept them, to recognize the triggers, and to be able to put supportive measures and steps in place to not only help themselves, but also to be able to ask for help as well. So effective communication is a running theme throughout the presentation today, because we want the assignee, the person, to feel that they are always able to communicate how they're feeling and to express that in a way that is meaningful for them. Right, so let's have a look at the success measures that I have identified that go across the assignee experience journey. So we'll just take them one by one and let's have a look together. So the first one is clear assignment objectives and expectations. And I always say that this is probably the most important one, because if we do not get this right up front and revalidate this throughout the experience journey, then we are always misaligned on the values and the objective, the reason, the aim, the goal of where we are working towards, personal and organizational level. So this is really about getting a clear understanding of the role, the responsibilities, and what are the objectives during the assignment itself? What's the project outcomes? What does good look like for both the organization and the person? And very importantly, what are the expectations that is held by the person so that we can start to understand and support them? What are the needs that they would like to be met that is personal for them, personal and could be professional for them? And how do they expect the organization to meet them? So we're also giving the organization a chance to prep and plan for it. Essentially, we're asking what are the priorities of the employee and their partner and family? Next, we have comprehensive pre-assignment preparation. So providing throughout the pre-departure phase, we're looking at things like training, orientation to help employees adapt to new culture, new work environment, new processes, new living conditions. And this should include language, cultural training, as well as information about local laws, customs. And during this time, we should also be providing training to location team colleagues, line manager, so that the employees also accepted culturally into their team. This is really important for the line manager as well, so that we are preparing for those for things like imposter syndrome, the feelings of imposter syndrome. If a line manager doesn't know how to instill confidence and to see signs of something like imposter syndrome and a lack of self-confidence and lack of self-esteem, then actually we're missing a great opportunity to support the mindset of the employee. The next is effective communications. So maintaining open and transparent communication channels between the employee and at different levels within the organization to build long-lasting relationships. And they're also going to form part of the social support networks, and that can be inside an organization as well as outside. So fundamental that we are looking at planning regular check-ins to understand their challenges, understand their worries, their fears, all of the stuff that's really important for mindset for the person, if we're human-centered within this experience, so that the organization can respond and provide the necessary support. Effective communications and relationships is key. If we are not providing a way to open channels of communication, then all of the other stuff starts to fall down. So really important success measure. Social support networks. So encouraging employees to build networks both inside the organization and outside. So inside, we can do easy things like allocating a buddy, and that could be both in location and in home office. So if they feel that they want to speak to an ally that they already have a relationship, they'd have an assigned buddy. And also within the new destination, so that also they can get some guidance perhaps or some advice. Maybe it's local restaurants or ways to integrate into new exercise groups, etc. So we want them to encourage to join communities and network, meet with people, and really integrate into the local communities. And we need to be supporting language if there is a gap there as well. By doing so, we're also creating a very, very important feeling of a sense of belonging. When I talk about a sense of belonging, we have an emotional connection to the place that we are present in. If we do not have a sense of belonging, then it is very difficult for us to want to stay and remain happily content with lots of job satisfaction within the place that we have been assigned to. So we're creating meaningful emotional support networks and that lovely feeling of belonging. Financial support. So talked about this before, providing those compensation packages, accounting for cost of living, differences, housing, other expenses, proactive assistance with tax-related issues, currency exchange, financial planning, etc. Health and well-being. So important. Access to quality healthcare, including medical insurance, emergency medical services, and this is not just about the checklist of insurances or providing options where, the family might become sick or anything like that. We're actually promoting this invisible line between a healthy work-life balance. Some people don't like the term work-life balance, but what I mean by that is we are encouraging the person to enjoy their life and disconnect from their work obligations. Because if they are doing that, then they are taking care of their well-being, self-care, routine, exercise, getting rest, meeting friends, learning language, learning new cultures, having new experiences, which are just as important as all the stuff that's related to work. So, who is going to be responsible for the physical and mental well-being of the employee? Providing access to fitness facilities, which can be quite an easy win, that well-being support, therapy, coaching, buddy system. If we have risky locations as well, there might be areas of that which are even more significant, like therapy. We've got risky destinations where it's not as safe as what the employee is used to, then actually having access to counseling, therapy, coaching, and even a buddy system could be even more valuable to the person. Career development opportunities. So right from that start point of consideration, we're making it clear to the assignee that the international assignment fits into their long-term career goals. So we are not just focusing on the assignment experience itself and what that delivers, but actually how does this contribute to your long-term career goals, your development, your ambitions, how you visualize yourself in the next 3 to 5 years. What's the career goal here? And is the organization and the employee aligned on this? And along the assignment journey, we also want to provide opportunities for the development and the training of skills that are not only important to the person, but also for them to accelerate their professional development. A leadership path, as an example, leadership coaching, leadership training, to really allow this person to feel that they are elevating their opportunities. So we need to maintain career objectives throughout the assignment. And I actually refer to revisiting those objectives that were set right from the beginning and adjusting. It's not to say that they have to be set in stone, but as we are adjusting, we're doing that together as a partnership between person and organization. And this is really about contributing in partnership the advancement of the person's career, not just in destination, but when they return as well. Recognition and appreciation, so acknowledging and rewarding the efforts, the value, the contributions of this particular person in this assignment. Recognition boosts morale. It boosts motivation. It makes us feel so good when we get that external validation. And this is not about creating a culture of external validation, but it's about doing it where it's needed most and where it really makes a huge difference, because this is a scenario of a huge amount of change. Flexibility. So how flexible are your policies right now? How will they influence the start, the middle, the end of the assignment experience and beyond? What are the needs that you can be flexible around as an organization? We start to get really personal here when I start talking about flexibility. This is not just about flexibility in reward, so financial terms or the level of schooling, or whether there's support resources, for example, in destination. This is not about necessarily material things, but we're talking about how much flexibility we can provide within areas which start to feel very personal, emotional, and meaningful for the person. And it is about recognizing their needs. It's about accommodating personal, professional adjustments. It can be responding to particular needs which are very unusual. it might be quite uncommon to be flexible in a particular way, but we're providing extensions that are necessary to support the person and also show recognition, appreciation. And even when we're talking about flexibility, that could be the assignment itself. What's going to happen if the person and their family want to stay permanently? Is there an option here? Partner and family support. So recognizing that the well-being of the employee's family can significantly impact the experience. And in fact, if I think about what makes or breaks an experience, looking at everything that I've researched, all the clients, everyone that I speak to, there's a fine line between success and failure based on the experience of the wider family. The main reason why assignments end early is because the partner is unhappy. Hence why I've said throughout the presentation, if we apply this to the partner, we are enhancing the assignee experience journey. Another reason is that we don't offer enough support services to the partner and their children in terms of supporting their mindset, and that can be often a reason for failure as such. But really understanding what is it that is really important to the partner and their family. And that can be things that we've talked about within a checklist, finding schools, healthcare, social activities, etc. It's about understanding what's important to the partner and the wider family needs as well. Diversity and inclusion, promoting the right questions to ensure that needs based on diversity are being effectively communicated and included in international assignments, ensuring that opportunities are accessible to diverse range of employees and addressing any biases, discrimination issues. And here I'm connecting in this point around flexibility. If your policies are not flexible enough to meet diversity and inclusion points, then something's gone wrong somewhere. So we need to make sure that these success measures are also balanced and they are supporting one another. Mentoring and coaching, it has been proven as a very valuable resource. So especially mentoring, I mean, this is something that the organization can do in many different ways, assigning a mentor in location at home, in destination. It can be potentially a mentor system with assignees who may also be in locations there, but maybe more senior. Is there an opportunity to partner with other organizations that are situated in destinations so that the person can experience mentoring from somebody else in the outside of the organization? Or is this about creating mentorship within the organization and also doing something incredible for people who are acting as mentors? Coaching is super important. If we don't have an external resource as the coach, then who is going to be coaching this person? Is it their line manager? Is it somebody else within the organization who is able to coach this person through all of these points, not just around mindset, but also around professional development and being able to navigate through all of the decisions that need to be made? So there is also an argument here that if we are providing coaching and mentoring support to the employee, then actually could we be doing the same thing to the partner if we're thinking about the main reasons why assignments are not as successful as we would like them to be at this time? Legal and compliance support, so thinking about support with visas, work permit applications, tax compliance, etc. This is your bag. Ongoing repatriation management or repatriation support. Super important. We're not doing this very well at the moment. And it's so much more than just support, which is why I've used the language around repatriation management, because there's a whole other plan that needs to be happening to transition the person, their family, children back to home country. And I wonder whether we've lost sight of how important it is to end, if we think about ending an assignment, as great as we are starting them. I've heard clients give me horror stories that they have returned after 2 years to the same desk, same papers, same corner, same floor, same team, same role. And this is not a great experience for somebody who's gone on an adventure, built their skills, developed others potentially, and felt very important. There's something very, in a way, regal about being an expat. There is this lovely perception and attribution to being an expat. And then coming home, that's when we can start to experience reverse culture shock. It's a grieving process for that person and their family. They've been so well looked after, or we hope they've been so well looked after with materials and lots of opportunities, that they then start to feel undervalued on returning home. So there's something needs to change, both environmental and also from a career planning, career path perspective as well. So we need to ensure that everything just feels a bit different. And lastly, feedback and continuous improvement. So I love the idea of us using more surveys, more data-driven, more data to drive processes, to drive a successful outcome. So if we were able to survey all of the assignees and potentially their partners as well, right from the beginning, and continuously get that feedback throughout the process and understand how we can continuously improve as an organization, so that actually all of the feedback we're taking from current assignees or those who have repatriated, improving it for the next generation of assignees. What has happened to the continuous improvement that we want to be seeing within this experience journey, within this process that underpins this experience journey? And in order to improve international assignment programs, we need to have data that we can look to and that can also help us understand where we need to drive more value, where we invest in with the value that we have been given by the business. We refer to way too much to budgets, and actually we're looking at where the value is. So that's really what we want to do with feedback and continuous improvement, is understand where and how we can drive more value. So let's look at the next part. What are the practical considerations that you could do to support a successful assignment experience? And this is based on cultivating a resilient mindset all the way across the journey. So I'm going to take some examples of the success measures that I have shared with you already. So clear assignment objectives and expectations, along with health and well-being. So we're looking at consistency here. If you have a coach, this is really going to support the employee to understand their needs, expectations, to make a plan, how to communicate. If you have a therapist in a tricky location, that's going to support you from a mental health perspective as well. We could have a mentor to challenge those feelings and lack of self-confidence, to support our mental health, as well as supporting feelings of imposter syndrome. So if we've got these two success measures, here's just some ideas that I've put together, and there's so much more to this that can then go into our checklist to support these key success measures. And I've highlighted that you could find this, at the top of the process, but ideally this could be anywhere. And this could also apply to partner support and thinking about diversity and inclusion. How can we adjust these points to support all of our people? So let's take another example here. Effective communication and relationships, social support networks. What are things that we can be doing? So we could have a coach, again, line managers, mentors, buddies, lots of training around resilience here to support the resilience of not only the employee, but the resilience of line managers, mentors, and buddies as well. We could have regular diarised check-ins. We want to support social networks. So I've talked about communities, that sense of belonging, language, cultural integrations, partnerships with other global organizations, like I've talked about. Can we create friendship networks across expatriate organizational communities? And these are genuine questions that we can ask the employee, but we also want these genuine questions to come from the line manager to support an assignee experience. And this can apply to partner and wider family support and diversity and inclusion. So if we're thinking about expat communities as an example, what if we have someone who has challenges with ADHD? It's been proven that if you create a community of people who are suffering from ADHD, they really benefit from having a mentor, a buddy system, and also having a mentor that they can use as a soundboard. If we have particular sections of society, then we want to make sure that everybody is able to socialize with each other and to feel that sense of belonging. So let's take another few: flexibility and diversity and inclusion, recognition and appreciation, partner and wider family support. So this is really about aligning flexibility to the needs of the family, the employee, asking the question, what are the real needs here? So this could form part of your survey as an example. What is the profile of the employee? What is the profile of their family? The couple as a whole. Do we need to have a confidential meeting for the partner to be able to understand these needs in more detail? And we're really looking at how can we provide an assignee experience based on the needs of the person, the couple, the family that's in front of us. We want to approach the onboarding process. So I talk about 100-day integration plan, meetings, surveys, follow-ups, check-ins, diarized meetings with home country team as well as local destination team. And we really want to provide as much structure as possible, whilst we are also integrating things like into these meetings, recognition, appreciation from the line manager, and also potentially hearing that from colleagues who are in home country as well. Let's take another couple. Career development and management, effective communication and relationships, feedback and continuous improvement, clear assignment objectives and expectations. We want to have a proactive approach. Career development management. The clue is in the words. So we want to be proactive. We want to have a business plan. We want to have coaching in place for this person to understand how their needs around their career is developing. What are the gaps in their skills, whether they're soft or hard skills? We want to set clear performance objectives right from the start, align and adjust. There needs to be reviews in place. We want to have checkpoints for surveys to allow us to continuously improve the current assignee process, but also the overall organizational process. Who is the buddy for the assignee at this person, who could potentially also be another outlet for understanding what those improvements might be? If there's things coming from conversations with a buddy, the buddy could be relaying that back to the business to allow us to make changes, which again don't necessarily cost anything, but it shows how we care about our people and we're able to respond in a timely way. So there's lots of things that we could be doing. And there we go. So, key next steps. Break down a list against all the success measures of how your organization could support your people based on your desired values and culture. And actually, I think there's even a starting point here to understand what is your desired values and culture. Based on that, looking at the assignee experience journey, and there's more ways that to break this down and to put different layers on this. But understanding if we have this experience journey and we want a resilient mindset and to support the person, show them that we really care, and we've got the vision of success, which I've shared, and we've got these success measures. How are we going to break down the success measures so that we can understand and actually build in flexibility around the success measures? then understanding how we could integrate them into our policies. So as I've just said, reviewing your existing policies, do they go far enough? Are there things that you could do quite quickly? Are there projects that need to be managed? But how can we support a resilient mindset as quickly as possible? Looking at it the other way, are your existing policies detrimental and impacting mental health or well-being of your people? And who's going to be the owner of this? Who's going to drive this to the right people, to the decision makers? How are you going to collaborate on this? How are you going to sign this off? And just another point, just because I've seen that word owner that I haven't necessarily shared in the presentation, but is a really important point, is who is going to be the owner of the assignee experience, case by case? If we have someone who is responsible for the assignee experience at an overall level, can we also have people who are assigned responsibility to essentially be another touch point, another check-in point, another temperature check, who's going to take responsibility for the assignee experience that's in front of them? I'm talking about one assignee experience. Because if we have more responsibility and ownership for the assignee experience closer to the person, then this is going to start embedding better habits, better ways of working. And it's not necessarily going to be this kind of isolated thing that we have to be doing, but it becomes natural. We want to integrate processes naturally into our ways of working. And there needs to be someone within the organization who is owner of the overall employee assignee experience, so that they can start to drive the improvement, start to drive the necessary conversations and next steps to bring the value and to show the organization the value of the changes that are needed. It's a management consultancy piece here. We are taking the organization through a change to understand that actually we're no longer dealing with a process, but we are dealing with supporting a resilient mindset of the person, and based around that, we're going to change the way that we do things. So we're shifting people to focus on the assignee experience journey rather than just facilitating, a new checklist. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope that this has been valuable. I've just put here a few things that I'm doing to support current global mobility professionals, but essentially I'm here for coaching for expatriates, but also coaching HR global mobility managers around this process. Potentially, if they're providing wellbeing support to employees, I can also provide wellbeing support to those people that are acting as caretaker. I'm also providing leadership coaching, leadership program masterclasses, which is a leadership program impact that I'm running along with leadership coaching, and also strategy work. So if you wanted to take some time together to look at how I can support a global mobility strategy to start implementing these things, then I'm also here to do that as well. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing from you soon. If you've got any questions, my details are here. Otherwise, wishing you a great day, and I hope this has been a very insightful shift for you, a different way of looking at things, and I've been able to show you that if we challenge the norm, then we can be innovating in a very valuable direction. Thank you very much.